One of the aspects of green building construction is dealing with the management of waste. And as you know, buildings and the construction of buildings generate a lot of waste. There are several official categories of waste. Municipal solid waste is the one that we're most familiar with. This is what's picked up in our garbage cans. There's also medical waste from doctors' offices and hospitals, hazardous waste, industrial waste, which is left over from manufacturing and power generation and extraction processes, and construction and demolition waste, which is related to buildings. About construction and demolition waste, which is known as C&D for short, when you read the numbers, you see that it generates just a huge volume. This is large volume and heavy material. If you are going for LEED certification for your building, in the M&R, Materials and Resources category, there are two prerequisites. In other words, if you don't do these, you can't get certified. And the two prerequisites are storage and collection of recyclables. So in your building, you have to provide facilities for the users of the building to recycle. They have to be able to recycle paper, plastic, and metal. This is why if you go to a building that is LEED certified, such as the Health and Wellness Center on LCC's campus, you will see that there are recycle stations throughout the building. That's part of this prerequisite. The other prerequisite is a C&D waste management plan. Now, in this step, you have to be intentional about what you're going to do. You have to establish goals for diverting waste. You have to describe where you will take the waste, whether you're going to separate it or commingle it, and you have to describe what happens at the waste collection facility where you send it. In this prerequisite, you don't have to actually recycle C&D, you just have to have a plan. But then you can get an extra point if you do then go on and recycle C&D, and almost all building projects do that. Let's think about municipal solid waste. The reason it's called municipal is that every city, a municipality, every city and town is legally obligated to deal with waste collection. So they have to provide water, they have to take away wastewater, and they have to take away our solid waste. So it's solid, it's different from water. And you may have seen graphs similar to this that detail how much of our solid waste consists of various kinds of products. And many people look at how, wow, paper is a big component of that waste stream. Here's the thing. If you look at municipal solid waste, that is what's in our garbage cans, and how it fits into the bigger picture of the total waste that we generate in the U.S., the total waste is this pie chart on the right. And this little sliver sticking out is how much of our solid waste is municipal solid waste. It's about 2.5%. It turns out that about 76% of our total waste, this big chunk of the pie, is industrial waste. So this is waste from power generation, fossil fuel extraction, metal extraction, and manufacturing. So while it's really good to recycle, and that's an important thing to do for various reasons, where we will have the most impact is thinking in a systemic way and thinking about how can we stop producing so much industrial waste in the first place. And this has to do with waste prevention in industry, and it has to do with a field called sustainable consumption, or reducing our consumption. You've probably heard of these steps in the waste management hierarchy: reduce, reuse, recycle. And in the old days, we said, well, recycle is the thing, the big thing at the bottom of the pyramid that we'll be thinking about. Here in this graph from the EPA, we are now thinking that reduction of waste is the biggest and most important thing we can do. And recycling down here at the bottom is the last resort after we've done everything else. Recycling has a lot of benefits, of course, including reducing greenhouse gas emissions and pollution, and reducing the amount of non-renewable resource consumption. It also has a number of costs or impacts, and one of them relates to the idea called downcycling. So when we recycle paper, we can't, if we recycle white office paper, it has long wood fibers. When we recycle it, those fibers break down and we can't make more white office paper out of it. We have to make a lower grade of paper, maybe newsprint. And when we recycle newsprint, those fibers break down more, and next time we have to make something like toilet paper or paper towels. That's downcycling. The same thing happens with plastic, with most plastic, I should say. So, for example, we cannot recycle plastic beverage containers and make more plastic beverage containers out of them, because those molecules, those polymers in the material, break down and also get contaminated. So when we recycle plastic milk jugs, for example, we typically make park benches and playground equipment out of them, and those park benches then have to be disposed of in a landfill when they wear out. There is one local exception I should mention. The company called PackTech, which makes beverage handles, actually does 100% recycling of their plastic material. And in order to do that, they have special recycle bins in local grocery stores, so you put your PackTech plastic handle in a special bin. It doesn't get mixed in with the other plastic. Some cities are beginning to think about an idea called zero waste. So instead of this linear flow that most of us do, take, make, waste, zero waste cities are thinking about how can we keep the materials flowing in a continuous cycle where waste from one process is food for another. And this involves various kinds of ideas. One name you'll hear is cradle to cradle. We'll look at that in a later lecture. Another idea is life cycle thinking. We'll look at that. Another idea you'll hear is circular economy, and we'll look at that in another lecture. Everyone has a role to play in and a responsibility in reducing waste and in moving towards zero waste. First of all, the producers, the manufacturers, they can do take back. They can take back their products and reprocess them, and that's what PackTech is doing. They can also look at how to design their materials. So can we use healthier materials? Can we use less material? Can we design a product that's going to last longer so people buy fewer of them? Can we design it so that it could be used again? Can we design it to be taken apart at the end of its life so that it's easier to reprocess these things? So in the clothing industry, Patagonia is really a leader in most of these design steps. They are really out there on the forefront. In terms of reuse and remanufacture, Caterpillar, the heavy equipment manufacturer, is big in that area. Just in terms of individuals and communities, what we can do is to work on our consumption. And as I mentioned, there's a field of study known as sustainable consumption, and it deals with finding strategies for consuming less in the first place, so we never have a waste problem to deal with. Then for making systemic changes, it is obvious that political bodies have responsibilities. We can't accomplish all this without laws and policies. So, for example, the European Union has some producer take-back laws. In the European Union, electronics manufacturers are required to take back their electronics products, and I believe there are some automotive take-back laws as well.